Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to... What was that face, Phil? Welcome to episode 81 of the GGG Podcast. We got a great episode for you today. Lots of game releases this week, and more game releases around the corner next week. We got Death Stranding 2 coming at you. But for this week, as always, Phil is joining me. Phil, have you had a good week? Did you get some more games in? We had a little bit of a break. We had Summer Games Fest last episode. Yeah. We talked about that. There was a little bit of news that trickled out after our podcast, and I'm remembering a news story that I'm going to insert later now. But did you get a chance to play some games this last week?
What have I played? So I played a little bit of Alters. Mm-hmm. Which is a new game that got released. That's like I feel like it's like Death Stranding meets The Sims.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a real juicy, weird one. What else have I been playing? I played a bit of Fortnite because they've added like
all the Star Wars
Superman stuff.
Oh, Superman!
No, Star Wars is out. It's time for David Cornswait to come in here and punch everyone into space. It's Superman time.
And I saw Robin as well.
You can get Robin in there. It's all pretty good. Let me see. Hold on. I need to look at my desktop to see what I've been playing. Some Monster Train. I played some Dead as Disco, the demo, which was really, really good. The Wildgate demo open beta launched, which is funny because Jump Ship is also launched. So.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
The Jump Ship demo is officially done.
Oh, it's done.
And it is not just seamlessly transitioning into early access. They have taken it down, and they will be early access releasing later this summer, but no date has been determined. But yeah, that's the same market, except it's PvE instead of PvP with Wildgate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a lot of games, I guess, but that's about it.
Right on. No, that's a lot of stuff. I have finally broken into Blueprints, so which is very, very good. It's just such an interesting puzzle exploration game that you just don't play very often. So it's really interesting. So I've made it to I think I'm on day 5, but yeah, everything my partner said about it was correct, and I'm happy I'm finally getting into it. And I hope that I can at least beat the soft ending of the game, because roguelites, they like going forever. And it's like after I beat Hades, I was just like, yeah, well, I beat him already. Why do I
made it out.
I beat Hades. Why do I need to keep doing this? So yeah, I've been playing that. Been playing the finals like an addict. Like, it's season 7 has officially launched. They got new items in there. I've been so stoked about it. They've given the heavy and the light classes healing gadgets now. So now everybody can heal if they want to, which I really like, because I love playing support, and I feel like I can now do damage and heal, and be very successful at that. So
honestly, a healing tank sounds pretty fun in that type of game.
It's
like smashing down walls and healing people.
Yeah, it's been really fun, really great. So I've been playing a lot of that, and then been back on Civilization 7. It's gotten a couple of updates and whatnot. I picked up Subnautica very late last night, just because Subnautica 2 is coming out, and I'm kind of like, let's see what this survival game is about. Whatever. So I've been playing lots of things, little smorgasbords of everything, and of course Helldivers with the new War Bond. So yeah.
There's it's kind of a weirdly good time for games right now, and like usually Summer Games Fest is like, get ready, because in a couple of months things are going to go wild. And This time it's just like, we're in it right now. Just grab something and go.
Yeah, there's like, hey, we have summer releases. We have summer, and the live service stuff is doing stuff So that's great. That's fantastic. All right. Well, let's get into our major game releases. But before we do, if you haven't already liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. And if you're following or you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please follow us over there as well. Been seeing an uptick in our YouTube activity, so that's been fantastic. Appreciate everybody watching out there. We're going to continue to talk about amazing video games. Please, if you have any thoughts, drop some comments. All right, so we got 4 major releases this week. So let's start out with the fat turd that has been getting demolished by reviews, and that is Mind's Eye. Phil,
I was thinking I can't say that this game was a big old flush. I was like, that's too mean, and you called it a fat turd, and I feel like I can just really let loose.
Yeah, you can go for
it. So, Mind's Eye is it was worked on one of the lead developers for Grand Theft Auto back in the day, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Super fun concept. The trailers and all the footage that we've seen over the past couple weeks, I feel like I couldn't go through an Instagram story without seeing a trailer for Mind's Eye.
Yeah, for real.
And I don't give a single rat's patoot about it, because it looked like vaporware. It looked like non-existent type of game. Like, what you're seeing is not going to be the actual gameplay. And to their credit, the game does look very good in those instances.
It does, yeah.
But it is pretty much a on-rails third-person shooter with 2 different types of missions. Either you're like following stuff with a drone that you're operating, or you're shooting your way out of situations. And that's pretty much it. Occasionally driving, but even then, I saw a video, I think it was Penguin Zero, Charlie, whatever, playing, and as he was driving, the tires weren't spinning, like the animation wasn't on. So the car just looked like it was sliding everywhere. Great stuff.
Great stuff. Yeah, it just seems so glitch riddled, and the idea that I think they knew that they were going to release it and it was going to bomb.
Yeah,
honestly, like,
they had to know.
PlayStation responded pretty quickly saying that they'd take refunds for people who were just satisfied with the game. So if you ended up buying Mind's Eye, know that you can get a refund for it if you are not into it, because I don't think the game will be getting support. I'm sure there's a couple hot fixes coming out to fix like the game breaking things, but yeah, it just looks like a mess. It just really looks like a mess. And honestly, this kind of reminded me of when you were talking about the level breakdown of like shooting yourself or shooting your way out of situations, these 2 different mission types. It's kind of reminded me of Mafia 3. And that's what I'm worried about the new Mafia is going to be, where it's going to be this very on the rails game. And it's like that. I feel like that type of game thrives as an open world. You can explore the city, or in the Mafia the Old Country, hopefully you can explore old late 1800s Italy, but they've only showed us like cutscenes. We haven't really gotten gameplay of what that might look like, so this makes me think of other games, which is a little tragic. So
it makes me think of other bad games. No,
yeah, so I am disappointed, but I suppose we were due for a dud. So,
and you know what? I'm happy that this one is vaporware, because it's look. I will say the voice acting allegedly, from what I've heard, is good, and so is like the motion capture and all that stuff. But the story just nobody cares about.
Right.
But it's good because I'm least interested in Mind's Eye. Like Black Desert, I hope that that's not vaporware and that's actually a good game.
Right.
And I hope that I hope that we took the bullet with Mind's Eye, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. All right, well, let's press right along with our major game releases. Next up, a game I have talked a lot about is Dune Awakening. Has had its official release this week. This is what my feed has been full of, but it's probably just because the algorithm saw that I would watch a lot of Dune Awakening videos. And now I just feel like everybody's playing this game right now. Every streamer, it's gotten huge concurrent Steam numbers. I think almost 200,000, which is very good for this style of like survival MMO-ish type of game. And I'm hearing kind of similar things, that the game is amazing and it's also really annoying. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing that I've heard from everybody, streamers, friends, everything, is that the first 10 hours of the game sucks. And then once it opens up, it's amazing. But here's the thing, it's Phil, as I've discussed on this podcast, I pre-ordered Dune Awakening and I refunded it after playing the beta because I thought it was so bad. That being said, I didn't play it more than 10 hours. But if a game takes 10 hours to be good, what are we doing? Like, what kind of respect for my time is that? So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Like, we both talked about it. We did not have a good time with the beta. I just felt like it was so laggy. It was just, it was glitchy. It was not straightforward. It was tedious in having to collect things and whatnot. It felt like a slog for me, and that's why I refunded it. But now that I'm seeing everybody having a relatively good time with it, I think it's holding at a 79 on Metacritic right now, which is not bad. I'm just kind of I'm getting the FOMO, Phil. I'm getting the FOMO. Like I wanted to have a good time with this game. Everybody else is now having a good time with this game. Are they actually having a good time, or is it just capitalist advertising being shoved down my feed? What is going on?
Wait for a sale. You gotta wait till it drops like $20. Because at $20 you could spare 10 hours if there's a nugget of something you like in there.
Right.
But I will say it is very endemic. It is very appropriate for the Dune game where you are stuck on a desert planet, that you have to search 10 hours to find a bit of something good. And maybe that's what the commentary is, like survival in video games is you are being tortured and then they're slowly taking blocks out of your way after hours and hours of work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, this is the Conan Exiles team, so I get that it would be a similar slog. But yeah, I don't know. I still, regardless of the first 10 hours sucking, I still felt like there was a lot of problems in the beta, and it did not seem like a game that was going to come out in 3 weeks. So I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for like Christmas time when there's a sale. Maybe there's been some updates. Maybe there's been some speed adjustments in the beginning of the game. We've turned some tiles a little bit. So instead of having to collect 100 iron, you can just collect 20, that kind of stuff. So then I think I'll hop on board. So
if they mod in or update that you can ride the Shai Hulud, then I'm in, but or is it Shai Hulud? What are they called? The worms.
You can just call them worms. I think that's fine.
They have an official name.
God damn it. And we will say it on this show. So help me God. Or he's going to look it up. All right.
Yeah, Shai Hulud.
Shai Hulud.
Damn it, I just had that one in the back.
Shia LaBeouf is going to be the DLC. Just going through
if you can make all the worms look like Shia LaBeouf, like his gaping maw is just coming at you through the desert, 10 out of 10 would play. Let's talk about the next game that 10 out of 10 will play.
All right, let's do it.
FBC Firebreak.
Woo!
I don't know what FBC stands for, but
do you want me to tell you?
Apparently they don't like BC.
That was pretty good.
So this is in the Control universe, which I guess is the Remedy universe largely.
Yep.
But it takes place like in the Control building. Is that correct? Or Federal Bureau of Control? That's the.
Yes, that is the FBC, and I think at the end of Control, very minor spoilers here. There's just there's a certain area that has been locked down, and all of the Ghostbustery stuff has been locked in with it, and it's been getting worse. And so you are part of the team that goes in. Yeah, exactly.
Ah, okay, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
I've heard really good things. The reviews are like between 7 and 9, so seems pretty cool. Seems like Left 4 Dead, but with like weird. Trying to think of the right word. Weird, like mind-bending horror as opposed to just zombies.
Adult Ghostbusters is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like.
The amount of time I'm waiting for a Ghostbusters game is since the original one came out on like the Xbox 360 that was a sequel to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for more, so I'm down.
We finally made it.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
We went through so much pointless VR and phone games. Remember that? There was one where you had to it was like Pokemon Go, but you were catching ghosts.
I remember hearing about that. I don't think I've ever played it myself, but yeah, that's a bit much. I mean, there was a Pokemon Go for there was like a Witcher Pokemon Go. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's stupid. Pokemon Ghosts would be a great name though.
Anyway, yeah, I mean okay, so maybe you can help sell me on this game a little bit, Phil, because FBC Firebreak, this is a game that is so up my alley. I love cooperative PvE mission-based team games. I love Left 4 Dead. It's a classic favorite of mine. I love Helldivers. I love Deep Rock Galactic. Like, these are staples in my gamer brain. I should really like Firebreak, right? But there's something, I don't know, there's something about the aesthetic. I think it's a personal taste thing, but there's something about the aesthetic that is not drawing me in to this team-based cooperative experience. And I feel like it should. I feel like my description of it as being like adult Ghostbusters rings very true because like there's guns. It still feels like Ghostbusters because of the variety of it's not like you're killing zombies or anything. So I don't know. I think because it's on Game Pass, I'm going to try it. Absolutely. But
that's the only sell I can think of is that it's on Game Pass. So like, why not install it?
I mean, we gotta try it. Obviously,
I'm down. I'm very down.
So.
But yeah, I will say like Control, while being directly up my alley with like cool superpowers, cool feminine lead with like a big weird gun, like third person action, mind bending elements, all things that I should like, but I just could not get into Control.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm with you there that like they use the excuse of making things like Severance-y, and it was before Severance, but they made the excuse of making like things look corporate. I feel like it wasn't that the art design was boring. It was definitely like brutalist, but it was also very repetitive, and maybe that's part of it.
Sure,
but it wore me down from wanting to play more. You know.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to it's a personal aesthetic taste thing. You know, like I was talking to a guy who didn't like Expedition 33, and I was like, well, how far did you get into it? And he was like, well, I just added Mael to my team. I was like, okay, so not very far at all.
So nothing.
But he was like, I don't know. I don't like how it looks. And I was like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with how it looks? It's just like, I just feel like it should look like a JRPG. And it's just like, okay, well, I don't know why, but he just plays a lot of JRPGs, and he's like, I just need it to look like a cartoon anime thing, and that's your taste, I guess.
Listen, I will say the reason I probably can play Expedition 33 Clair Obscur
is because it doesn't.
It's because it doesn't. If it looked like Xenoblade Saga, I would be like, very cool story characters. Couldn't care less.
Mm-hmm.
Like this game actually does feel like anime. Sorry, we're talking about Clair Obscur again, but it does feel like there is a character who doesn't wear shoes and she flies around. He's got all these cool tattoos and a guy with a metal arm and steampunk hair. Absolutely should be an anime, but the fact that it's not is what made me go like, oh, hello.
Yeah, they brought it a little into realism, and I guess he doesn't like that. So, but yeah, let's you and I try out some FBC Firebreak. I'm very curious as to why they went with a 3-person team instead of a 4-person team, which is usually the way those games work. But whatever, the 3 people makes it easier to put a squad together, right? So, all right, last up on our major game releases, we have Rematch. This is a game from the developers of Sifu, if I'm correct on this, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a soccer/football game, and it looks really cool. And I am So this is a little bit of a hot take. Probably not a lot of sport gamers here, but I think the sports game market is ready to be usurped.
Yeah.
And I think EA is resting on their laurels. They're not doing anything innovative other than putting snow into Madden and acting like they deserve a medal for it. But you see that advertisement? Oh, it's snowy. It's a blizzard. I'm like, couldn't you do this in like 2004? Like, what are we talking about?
Horizon Zero Dawn did this, and they made you could step in the snow and it would deform. Yeah, no, interesting thing about this game and FBC, both three-person teams. It kind of reminds me like this game. If I had to elevator pitch, I'd be like, it's the people who made Sifu,
Yeah,
and it's Rocket League, but you're playing with human legs.
not car legs.
I'm not car legs, which, as we all know, are tires. But
Oh my.
I guess the tires are the feet. But what I'm saying is, this game seems like just a fast, competitive, like three-person. With the way that they hyper focus on like physical movement and body positioning and all that stuff, it seems like a really cool game, especially if they include like ball physics that are not the same as Rocket League. So Rocket League's the ball is very floaty, but just with the same level of force to movement ratio.
Yeah.
I will be very, very happy with this game. Also coming to Game Pass, and hopefully a really easy sell to get your friends to try, because like, what a cool concept to just get three of your buddies and play something that's actually kind of hard because it's based on a real sport and also looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks really cool. A little bit of like NBA Jam. It reminds me of not in the gameplay, but in the vibe. And so I love it. Anything to dethrone, football club / FIFA. Anything to dethrone NBA 2K. All the economies on economies on economies in that freaking game. Like, let's get some cool sports games, and let's get a new generation of sports gamers who are not going to just give up all this money to play the same game every freaking year.
Please, God.
Yes, and that is coming from someone who used to love NBA 2K. It is funny, 2K25 went on PlayStation Plus this month, and I was like, all right, I didn't buy it this year. But now it's for free on PlayStation Plus. I'm already subscribed. I'll download it and try it. I downloaded and tried it, and I uninstalled it after one match, and I was like, I'm happy.
Well, there's so much in-game purchases in those games, right?
It's crazy. It is. I mean, it's a card collector. It's there's lots of features, but if you play the main mode, which is really what they want you to do now, they don't just want you to be like, oh, I'm going to play the Boston Celtics versus the Los Angeles Lakers. It's like, no, we want you to make your avatar. You're going to make your guy. You're going to go through our little crappy story every time, which just don't put it in the game. Just don't do it.
Don't need it. I would love to just play basketball. Thank you. Thank you much.
And then you're going to grind, and you got to get your Gatorade points, and then you got to get your coin, and you got to get your experience, and then you got to go to the gym so you get a boost, and then you got to play in this activity to get this reward so you can go turn it in at this shop. And it's just endless, and it's like you have to. How much time you're asking from people to play it is ridiculous. And it's like, maybe kids have the time to do this, but even then it's like, but you need real money to really make progress. So it can't be just kids. So yeah. All right. That's my 2K soapbox.
You're not wrong. I don't need my sports games to be RPGs. It was fine when Tony Hawk Underground did it. And after that, you don't need to do it again.
Exactly. All right, let's get into the actual news this week. We're just rolling right along. Marathon has officially been delayed indefinitely. And by delayed indefinitely, Phil, does that mean canceled?
Well, when it comes to statements like these, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. They're going to drag this death out as long as they can. 26.2 miles of absolute unabashed anguish. Marathon's never coming out. There's a litany of reasons. One, it looks like bad. Two, it's steeped in so many controversies.
If if our channel ever grows to a place where we're doing full reviews and there's like a numbers scale, that is going to be a ranking.
What? Looks like bad.
It looks like bad. 4 out of 10.
I would love to get that on a game's box one day. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's a game that I think is like it is extraction shooter / battle royale in a time where like extraction shooter / battle royales are kind of on the way out unless you're doing something very new.
Yeah.
I feel like if you want to play Marathon with the world they set up, what you should play instead is Apex Legends because it's free and here now.
Yeah. Or like the Division 2 had an update last week. Can you believe that? I didn't even know that game was still having updates. That's crazy. Or it wasn't even an update. It was like a DLC. It was a full new map and everything. So that's
really
great. Yeah.
Impressive.
Yes. So yeah, I mean just all their legal issues with the artist. Like the more that comes out about it, the more it's like, oh, they didn't just like copy this or that. It's
they mega stole.
Yeah, but the whole aesthetic of the game is based on what this artist was doing, and like that, like you could get in a courtroom and be like, I'm entitled to compensation not just for this one thing, but for the entire game. So like it just seems like a legal nightmare. The people who played it, they didn't really care for it, you know, in the closed beta and whatnot. I don't know. I don't really care about an extraction shooter. Just play another battle royale. Like why?
Yeah.
Why I don't play? Go play Apex, like Phil suggested. Like what is the? I don't get it. So I'm not surprised by this. I think it will be canceled. I don't think this game is going to see the light of day.
The light of day, not happening, right? Not happening.
Yeah, I mean, if they can just pull Concord and be like, we are just straight up deleting this game, they're not gonna force this game to come out and then just lose more money. So, yeah,
that does make me really sad thinking about Concord. That was a fun game.
Yeah, but it seems like Wildgate, which is I think in beta right now, that's what Concord kind of should have been. It seems like, you know, it's a little bit more Sea of Thieves in space than just being like, oh, you can like go on space missions and whatnot. But yeah.
Did you see that that episode of the Love, Death and Robots show based on video games that was about Concord?
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
It was so good.
It was a fantastic episode. It was like, get me more of that. Like, that's the game I wish it was, but it wasn't. It was just a 5v5 team shooter, you know, very basic. And it's like, okay, well, cool, I guess. So,
yeah.
Anyway, still didn't deserve to be deleted. All right, let's move into our main, not our main topic, some more news. So game prices are going up. If you click that link that I attached to that article, Phil, it's actually showing that the Borderlands 4 is not going to be raising their prices. So that is very good. They will be releasing at a $70 price point. Of course, in typical Gearbox fashion, there are several versions of the game. So if you really want to spend $150 on Borderlands 4, you have the power to do so, as long as you have a credit card. So,
you have a credit card and bad decision-making skills, you can be the owner of a game that is $70 for $120.
150 actually.
Jeez.
So double the price. Yeah. So yeah, but something that was kind of snuck in during Summer Games Fest that I want to call attention to is that The Outer Worlds 2 that our friend Austin is working on is the first confirmed Microsoft game that's base price will be $80.
Oh, wow.
So now, but I will note, this is a game that will be coming free to Game Pass, but if you just want to buy the game, it is Microsoft's first $80 title game. And I think that kind of signifies that Microsoft saw what Nintendo did, and they were like, okay, We're going to move
All
forward
right,
with
time
this. And we're going to
so
sneak it in because it's on Game Pass. We're just going to sneak this in a little bit, but it's there. So,
just the tip of the price increase. Do we think that, like, is the statement? Do you think that Nintendo is the bellwether?
um,
Or like if Sony did this consistently, do we think Xbox would be like? I think if they did, Xbox would do that.
I mean,
However, Xbox is undercutting everything with Game Pass.
yeah, again, for now, I
Mm,
don't think Game Pass will be able to sustain its pricing.
mm,
I know that Phil Spencer looks up to Nintendo.
mm.
He wants to be like Nintendo. He's not. They've been fighting with Sony for the market for a very long time, and I think in the PS4, Xbox One generation, they realized they lost that generation. And as his own words were like, that was the wrong generation to lose. It was the most important one. And so I think, I think he's going to be like, Sony's going to do what Sony's going to do. I want to be like Nintendo. He's talked about like, I wish we could buy Nintendo. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But if any company has the money for it, it would be Microsoft.
True.
So I think if Nintendo says it's okay, Microsoft will follow them because of Phil Spencer. So, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I do feel like Nintendo is kind of has been holding the line, and we'll talk more about their release of the Switch 2 later, but
Yeah.
I do think that they are kind of like they started games and they are continuing games, and they are still doing games with a lot of whimsy, unlike other companies.
Yeah.
So,
Right on. All right, last up on our news. So Xbox, more Microsoft news, has unveiled a new partnership with AMD, which is the chip company. They make chips in pretty much all gaming systems. So PlayStation, Xbox. I don't know if they're in the Switch 2, possibly. I do know that there is
might be Nvidia.
yeah,
On the
I
Switch.
think there's a fancy AMD chip in the ROG Ally, the portable Xbox sort of that Xbox unveiled at Summer Games Fest. But this new partnership is so that AMD can help Microsoft design the next Xbox hardware system, and this tells me a lot, Phil, and kind of similar to the things we've talked about before with Microsoft, but this tells me that Xbox will not be designing the next Xbox. They're going to let AMD do it, just like with their portable system. We'll let another company do it, and we're going to put Xbox on it. And we're going to have a little Xbox logo, but that's what this is. This is if you guys want to do the work of making the hardware, because we are not good at it, apparently. And realistically, Microsoft is a software company first and foremost. So, yeah, I think that this will be an AMD machine with an Xbox logo on it and not an actual new Xbox. What do you think of the partnership?
I think it's silly. I think it's the first. I think it's the first sort of. I don't know. I would say it's one of the first major moves, and what I feel like will be sort of the end of the Xbox brand.
Yeah.
Because the ROG Xbox Ally or whatever it was, also seemed a lot like okay, they're giving up. They're just letting the name go on to other things.
Yeah.
Similarly, if AMD makes an Xbox model, that thing is going to cost $2,000 out of the box because AMD. Well, here's the alternate reality that I think we probably exist in. Xbox will eat the cost on a lot of the consoles to just get them out there.
Yeah.
It'll be their big final push, and you'll have a very powerful box that hopefully has good games, but will probably be like a really, really powerful indie box, if anything.
Right. Yeah, I see that very much happening. I don't think Xbox is going away as a brand, but just as like a physical thing. But it's too bad that Twitter switched to X, because I'm sure Microsoft would have just liked to change their name to X.
Well, they've always got box.
There we go. All right. Well, let's get into our main topic this week, and that is the Nintendo Switch 2. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been out for about 2 weeks now, and so we finally got some solid numbers. We're seeing reactions from fans, from reviewers, from streamers, and we've had our own personal reaction. I know, Phil, you were going to buy a Switch 2 and then you didn't.
Yep.
So let's just hit the big numbers first before we get into all of the details. So the big story is that the Nintendo Switch 2 shatters sales records, fastest selling console ever. Sold 3.5 million units in 4 days, and these sales are still obviously pouring in. So all of the negative news, all of the criticism, all of the blah, 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 and blah, 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 didn't matter because everybody still freaking bought one.
Yeah.
So what do you make of this, Phil? Do you see like the average consumer as not aware of the problems, or do they just not care? What is it about the Switch 2 that people have to have just so they can play Mario Kart?
I think the Switch became a very important thing during COVID. A lot of people got Switches who I think otherwise wouldn't have had Switches, and I think that is why it has become like the iPhone of video games, where it was just like,
Sure.
oh yeah, everybody's got this brand. It's easy to use. It's got these apps that I like. And so I think this, having taken as long as it did, and being a pretty hefty upgrade, visually, controller-wise, everything seems like it's in the right place. But I think all those things combine to make it more appealing. But I do feel like, and this is just anecdotal and stuff I've heard from other people, the console launch feels like a bit of a failure, regardless of what their numbers were.
Wow. Why? You gotta elaborate on that. Like
the hype for the Switch 2 puttered out day 2 of the Switch 2 being around. I feel like,
yeah,
it's just got Mario Kart, and then 17 other games we've all already played.
right.
Legend of Zelda, you can update it. Cyberpunk, you can play it on Switch 2. It looks good, not as good as it does on PS5 or a PC.
Yeah.
I just think that it's like they don't have... Nintendo launched with Mario Kart, which is a good Mario Kart, but again, it's got its flaws. It is not something that which you can build around a console release like Breath of the Wild was, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, was Breath of the Wild a launch game?
I believe it was. It was because it was going to launch on the Wii U, and they held it back so that I think the two would launch simultaneously. Let me double check.
I don't think so, my man. I think that is incorrect because I remember Breath of the Wild releasing the same time as Horizon, and that was in like February or March, in like
2017.
17? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't remember exactly when the first Switch came out, to be totally honest.
Switch One was launched on March 3rd, 2017.
Oh.
So Breath of the Wild was like 2 weeks later.
Okay, but that's a launch game. That's within the launch window. Okay, I get that. So I guess they're leaning on like Donkey Kong's going to be that for them, but it's not coming out to September. So that's 3 months away. I don't know.
Actually, no. Breath of the Wild was released on March 3rd, so it was their launch title.
Okay.
It was for that and Switch 2. So yeah, I feel like that really helped the Switch become like a household object that everyone had, because you would pick it up and then you were playing this game that was unlike anything else. It was vibrant and colorful, and not only could you like sit down and play it on your TV, but you could just pick up and walk away with it. And I don't think that Mario Kart is as engrossing. And typically, you need friends to play Mario Kart with. If you're the only one in your friend group who got a Switch 2, you have to have them come over. It's not as easy to have water cooler moments and to be talking about the Switch when you're playing a game that is essentially a 20-year-old premise at this point.
I mean, I guess but the 3.5 million sales say otherwise. I feel like your friends have gotten. I think the smarter thing to do would have been to wait until September. Then you have two launch titles. You know that Xbox and Sony are not coming out with new consoles. They're not going to rival you in hardware this holiday season. And so, but I think I think the reason they launched it in June is because of summer vacation for kids. And
Yeah.
so it's like kids are going on vacation. The parents are gonna, buy them this as a graduation present or something like that. I hear what you're saying though about the hype of like, oh, I got to Switch 2. There's only Mario Kart, and if I'm not gonna play with my friends, am I really gonna play Mario Kart online with the sweaty people who like go
Yeah.
crazy with Mario? I've seen some of the Mario Kart videos. I'm like, is that even racing? Like, I don't even.
No, it's knowing the level and skipping through it.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll play with Paul Rudd, but that's a pretty wild possibility.
yeah,
He's spending a lot of time gaming.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it just didn't launch with a killer app, and I think the Switch 2 in a year will be a completely different conversation than it is right now. But I just feel like it was such a puny launch by almost every standard compared to the last like several console launches or console launches in terms of excitement and people just talking about it afterwards. Like, granted, it looks good, but it's just not doing anything new. The other thing that really bums me out is this $10 extra game that you have to get to learn how
Oh
the Switch
yeah,
works.
yeah. I mean,
Like, yeah,
look, I mean, if we're gonna go over the flaws, you and I are on the same page about this. Like, there's people reporting there's drift already. I've had my Switch for a couple
oof,
days. There's even like when doing the calibration and everything and the settings like that. There was the whole game stop stapling switches, which was a huge problem. It looks, people. I was seeing a lot of streamers in my feed so desperate to try to come up with content where it's like they're watching the record for this map, and it's like, that's great, but you're not actually playing it. You're just watching, some ghost do it. Or
so
they'll
I'm watching you watch someone
yeah,
else.
or they'll be like, oh, this is the Switch 2 starting up Cyberpunk 2077 versus the PlayStation 4 starting up Cyberpunk 2077. It's like, who cares? It's a PlayStation 4. It launched 12 years ago. Like, it better be able to run it better than a PlayStation 4. Like,
Well, if you're buying Cyberpunk 2077, it's because you're desperate for things to play on the Switch 2.
yeah.
If you're in like early adopters, I feel like got boned the most, more than usual. Like typically early adopters, it's not a great thing to do, but when you're excited about a console, it's what makes sense to do. You want to be a
Yeah.
part of the conversation.
It's that
I
FOMO.
think a lot of these sales will kind of come out to have been scalpers, and I hope that this kind of like rots some scalpers and lets them sit on it for a while.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
I
I could see
yeah.
that. So yeah, that's interesting take. Yeah, I don't know. I have seen a lot less this last week Switch like content going down. But I don't know if that's just because that's my bubble algorithm that I live in. So
Yeah.
so yeah, but it's very interesting hearing you talk about it. As I mentioned when we first started talking about it, that you were going to get a Switch originally and then changed your mind, and is the major factor is just it only had Mario Kart. That was the only no killer app kind of a thing.
That was the thing. So I had it in my cart at Costco,
Wow, you
like
were really
online.
close. Oh,
I
online.
was about to get it. Yeah, yeah. So I was about to get it. Like it was five. I couldn't have 570 for the game, the console, and a year of Nintendo Plus, which is actually a pretty good deal in my
Yeah.
in my opinion. But when I thought about it, I was like, I have to wait several months to play the game I want to play, which is Donkey Kong. Then after that, I have to wait several more months to play Pokemon. And I've never had one of those like consoles that is special to some game, like the 3DS or whatever, when they would launch with different Pokemon games or Mario games. So I kind of wanted to wait to do that. But additionally, I just felt like it's it's not as impressive anymore because we have things like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally.
Yeah.
It is not the only choice for more mobile gaming and playing indies on the go. Like for my Switch, it was Nintendo games and then indies that I thought would work really, really well there. Um, and now there's so many great options to do it that are more powerful in terms of what they can run, have more variety in terms of what they can run. But there just wasn't the thing that really makes you want to buy a Switch, which is access to Nintendo's first party library.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm curious. Well, we should keep an eye on Switch 2 sales for the rest of the year. Obviously, they're going to spike again around Christmas time. But aside from that, I'm curious how they continue to do through the summer and see if your scalper theory is correct. So, because that would be,
I'm guessing.
That would be pretty interesting. So, all right. Well, we are about at time. Ooh, you know what? I have a little thing to add before we wrap up this episode of the GGG podcast. So right after we did our last podcast, I believe it was the PC Gamer show. It's PC Gamer magazine. It was the PC Game Show right after we recorded our last podcast, and they announced an Expanse game. And I love the Expanse show. I haven't read the books, but I absolutely love the Expanse show, and it looks like it could be pretty interesting. Seeing it kind of reminded me of Mind's Eye a little bit, so that made me a little worried. But I know that other games have made that type of game and had it been successful. So I'm curious how linear it's going to be, if it's going to be a story-driven narrative. But the graphics look really cool. I love the Expanse universe. I love space games. I'm a space game slut.
That sure is true. You played the heck out of that Bethesda game whose name I forgot.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't have to say it. So yeah, excited about that. We didn't bring that up on the last episode, so I wanted to mention that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. But all right, that is gonna do it. Any last little bits for you before we wrap up episode 81, Phil?
81. Okay, there's a new game that I just saw today that I wanted to talk about called Scum.
Oh, yes. I've seen Scum.
Yeah, it honestly looks really silly and fun enough to want to play, but I have no idea what it is.
I mean, I think it's like like DayZ, like a survival PvP game, and you can really do whatever you want. I think it's just like no bounds. Just you want to make a giant robot. You want to ride around on a motorcycle. It knows what kind of players play those games, and they're not nice people.
They're scum, so they're leaning in.
Yep, they're leaning into it. So we'll do some research. We can talk about it more next week. Or if you're listening to this episode and you're playing Scum right now, tell us about the game, and we'll discuss your take on our next episode next week. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. If you haven't already liked and subscribed on our YouTube channel, we really appreciate it. It really helps us out. And if you're following us over on our Spotify or Apple Podcast with the audio only version, please continue to do so. And if you haven't, follow us now. Take this opportunity right now. You're at work. You want something to listen to for the background noise, and you love games. You put on the GGG podcast. All right, Phil?
Yeah, just slide over the little follow button and tap it. Just give a quick little tap.
Just a little tap. All right. Peace out, everybody. We will see you next week.
Adios.